these are all the books I own on my red TBR shelf. Hi everyone, welcome back to Cook, Create, Read. If you're new here, my name is Terry and I am a middle-aged lady who likes to read. I will read pretty much any genre, but my favourites are psychological thrillers, murder mystery type things, police procedurals, literary fiction. Sometimes I'll read some sci-fi and fantasy, a little bit of romance, pretty much anything. So if you think you might be interested, then please consider subscribing to my tiny little YouTube channel. So just to caveat this before we start, I have a lot of books on my TBR. I have been collecting books for many years, but I really like having a lot of books on my shelf to choose from. I'm a mood reader and I like to have a lot of different types of books on my shelf, so I've got something that pleases whichever mood I might be in at the time. So that is why I have a lot of books on my shelf, and that is why I will always have a lot of books on my shelf. I'm not someone who's going to get rid of all my TBR and whittle it down to like 10 books. That's just not me. I like to buy books as much as I like to read books. I like to hear what other people think of books, and if they sound good to me, then I like to get them into my hands so that when I'm in the mood, I've got them and I can just pick them up and read. So that's why I have a lot of books on my shelf, and I'm not mad about it. I arrange my books in colour order, which is not my favourite way of doing it, but it's the best way I can do it in the space that I have. In today's video, I am going to go through all the books that are on my TBR. This is part one of, I don't know how many, at least 12. So I'm going to show you all the books that I have on my TBR, and I'm going to decide whether I still want to read them or if I want to get rid of them. So some of these books I've had for probably decades, and they've just been sitting on my shelf waiting to be read. And my reading tastes have changed over the years, and some of them I might not be interested in reading anymore. So they're just taking up space that can be used for books that I do want to read. So for any books that I do get rid of today, I will either be giving them to my daughter or some friends, or I'll be selling them on Vinted. So I will link my Vinted down below if anybody in the UK is interested in wanting to have a look, or I will donate them to charity. On my red shelf, I had 38 books. I've got them in 3 piles next to me, so let's get started. So the first book on the shelf is Carrie by Stephen King. A few years ago, I had an idea that I was going to read all of Stephen King's novels, and since then, I think I've only read The Shining. But I still do want to read his books, and I've seen the film of this one. This is about a teenage girl who has a word I cannot say, telekinesis, I think it's called. And obviously I'm sure nobody needs to be told what Carrie is about, but I still want to read this one, so this is a keeper. The next one is The Trees by Percival Everett. There was a lot of buzz about this book a year or so ago. I think it was on some prize nomination list. I'm not sure which one. And did it win? It might have even won. I have no idea. I'll look it up and I'll put it here. Anyway, I've heard this is really good, and it's, I don't know a lot about it, but I think it's a detective type story, and it's kind of like a puzzle mystery type story. The next one is A General Theory of Oblivion by Jose Eduardo Aguilusa, and it's translated from the Portuguese by Daniel Hahn. This is a book that I heard about through the Book Riot podcast, which I don't really listen to anymore, but I used to love it. I used to listen to it all the time. Again, I don't really know what this one is about, but I'm always interested in reading books set in other countries or by authors who are not from the same country as me. And I like translated fiction, so I'll be keeping this one. Still want to read this. The next one is Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. This is humongous. This is a chunker of a book, and it's like a really tightly bound, I don't know if you can tell, but it's a really tightly bound paperback. I remember buying this years and years ago when Waterstones used to do their £1 book sale at the end of the year. Yeah, it's got this hideous sticker on it that I have not been able to get off. So this is a classic, a modern classic book about an intersex person who is raised as a girl and then I think transitions to a boy when they're a teenager. It says on the back it's a comic epic, and I am not a fan of funny books. I like to laugh, I like funny films, but I just never really, I don't know, funny books just don't do it for me. And this one is such a chunker. I do still want to read it, but I'm tempted to actually get this on Kindle because this edition is just not calling to me. I think I'm going to get rid of this one, but I still want to read it. I will read it on my Kindle, but I'm going to de-haul it from my shelf, unhaul it from my shelf even. The next one is The Valley of Amazement by Amy Tan. I think this is set in 19th century? It says turn of the century, I don't know which century. China, Shanghai. I've read something else by Amy Tan which I really enjoyed. Which one was it? Oh, it was The Joy Luck Club. I read that years and years ago and I really enjoyed it. And I think I still want to read this one, so I will keep this one. The next one is The City and the City by China Miéville. So this is a science fiction book about, I think it's set in London. Oh, I've actually started this once. I didn't get very far, page 34. I think it's set in London, but it's like there's an above and below London and there's two different kind of storylines going on. I've heard so much about China Miéville being like a really good author, and I do still want to read this one. Okay, so it's not set in London at all. It's in the decaying city of Basel, somewhere at the edge of Europe. So I think it's actually a made-up town. I don't think it's a real place. I am still interested in reading this. I do occasionally get whims to read some science fiction, so I'm going to keep this one. Next up is The Reformatory. This is actually more orange than red, but anyway, it's on my red shelf at the moment. The Reformatory by Tananarive Due, not sure how you say her surname. So I did start reading this book and I did get quite far into it. I'm on page 230, so just less than halfway. And I was really enjoying it, but it was really heavy. It's a really heavy storyline. It's really sad, really depressing, about this young black boy who gets sent to a reformatory for being in a fight with like a rich white boy who is the son of like a powerful local dad. And I had to put it down because I just wasn't in the right frame of mind to read it, but I definitely want to pick it up again. So this one's a keeper. Next is A Fine Balance by Rohinton Mystery. This is another one that is talked about all the time. It's really highly rated and I definitely still want to read it. It is set in India in the 1970s. It's another chunker. I really do enjoy getting into a big, long, epic book at times when I'm in the right mood. I just need to wait for that mood to come along. So I will be keeping this one. Next up is a fairly new one for me. This is called Acts of Desperation by Megan Nolan. Not really sure what this one's about, but the back says it's an incredible debut, poignant, poetic, raw and utterly unique. I couldn't stop reading. And it's a blistering anti-romance about the seductive destruction of trying to find self-worth in the gaze of another. I think I definitely still want to read this one. It's pretty new. I love the cover. So definitely keeping this one. The next one is The Book of Memory by Bettina Gapper. This isn't, I think this was nominated for the Women's Prize for Fiction a few years back. I'm just going to read the blurb thing on the back. It says, "The story that you have asked me to tell you does not begin with the pitiful ugliness of Lloyd's death. It begins on a long ago day in August when the sun seared my blistered face and I was 9 years old and my father and mother sold me to a strange man. I say my father and mother, but it was really my mother." And the girl's name is actually Memory, so this is like a book from her point of view about her life, I'm assuming. Definitely still interested in this one. This author is Zimbabwean. I grew up in South Africa and I really like reading books from South African or Zimbabwean authors. They're very close neighbours. So definitely keeping this one, and hopefully we'll get to this one pretty soon, although I've had it for yonks. they're all going to fall off. The next one shouldn't really be on my red shelf at all, but I didn't know where to put it because the cover, it's multicoloured. This is Chain Gang All Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. And this one is another one that was nominated quite recently for, I think, the Women's Prize for Fiction. Might have been another prize, but does it say on here? No. This is a signed copy and her signature is astounding to me. Oh, this is another one that I actually have started very... I'm only on this, only page 8, so I haven't really started it. So, but look at that signature, like what? Am I showing you it right? Look at that. How is that her signature? Anyway, so this I think is about a prison, a group of people in a prison. Yeah, so this is kind of like a reality TV program set inside a prison. So it's a bit like Hunger Games in a prison, televised program. I have to admit, when I only got like 8 pages in and it didn't actually grab me straight away, but I definitely need to give this more of a chance. Definitely keeping this one. And then the last one in the first pile is The Interestings by Meg Wolitzer. This is another one that I heard about through Book Riot, and it is about like a reunion and a group of old school friends coming back together like years later and revisiting things that happened in their past when they were at, I think, university. And so it's about how this group of friends, I think there's 6 of them, how, you know, what they've done with their lives since they were at school. Still interested in this one, although it's also a chunker. Not that that puts me off. But yep, so I'm keeping this one. On to the second pile. The next one is The Tiger Mom's Tale by Lynn Liao Butler. I bought this in a little bookshop in New York when we were there on holiday a few years ago. 3 or 4 years ago maybe. This is a nice floppy American paperback. I paid $6 for this in West Side Books in New York, that's right. So this one is about a woman in America who inherits some money and property, I think, from her family in Taiwan, and so she goes back to Taiwan to sort that all out. This was her debut novel, and I know that she has since brought out a new book which also caught my eye, but I haven't got it, but I can't remember what it was called or anything, so that's an interesting story. But yeah, still interested in this one. I love the cover. New York, actually, is it? Yeah, I think she lives in New York and then she goes to Taiwan. That might be completely wrong, but still want to keep this one, and it's still got the memory of, you know, I bought it when I was on holiday in New York City, so keeping that one. On to the second pile. We have Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. This, did I say Clara? Did I say Clara? It's Clara and the Sun. This one is about I think it's about a little girl who gets an AI robot doll thing and the relationship that they develop. Really interested in reading this one. I haven't actually read anything by him yet. I have got, well, you'll see in another video, the other book I've got by him. And keeping this one, still want to read it, like this cover. Oh, no I don't. I thought that was a cutout, but it's not. I mean, I don't hate the cover. Yeah, keeping that one. Next up, we have Johannesburg by Fiona Melrose. I bought this in, what is that bookshop called in Bath? So my daughter went to university in Bath. Mr. B's Emporium of Books. I think that's what it's called, Mr. B's Emporium, yeah. So I bought this in there. Natasha's been out of university for a good few years now, so this must be at least 6 years ago I bought this, and I still haven't read it. I bought it because, like I said, I grew up in South Africa, and this is based in Johannesburg. I didn't grow up in Johannesburg, but I have been there. So this is another book about a girl going back to, or a woman going back to the place where she grew up, and visiting those things from the past. I don't know why I haven't picked this up. Well, I could say that for all of these books, but I still want to read this one, so I am keeping this one. Not getting rid of many, which is good in a way. The next one is Don't Look For Me by Wendy Walker. This is a second-hand book. I've got literally absolutely no recollection of buying this. One night Molly Clark walked away from her life, or at least that's the story. What really happened to Molly Clark? Gripping with unexpected twists and a cracking mystery. If you love fast-paced page-turners with relatable flawed characters, look no further. Well, I do, so I will look no further. This is obviously some kind of psychological mystery, I think. I like to have these on my shelf for when I'm in a slump, when I'm looking for something quick and easy to read, when I don't want to think too much. So I'll be keeping this one. The Magic Strings of Frankie Presto by Mitch Albom. Another one I have no recollection of, and I've got absolutely no idea what this is about. I know I've read The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by him, which I really enjoyed. I read that years ago. Oh, okay, so this one is about, honestly, I don't know what this is about at all. But it's about a 9-year-old boy who is sent to America in the bottom of a boat with only an old guitar and 6 precious strings. I think he becomes a rock star. It's a pretty big novel. I'm just going to have a look at this on Goodreads. Wow, okay, so this has got a 4.37 rating on Goodreads from 53,000 ratings. Oh, and apparently I bought this book in February 2024. Okay, it's got good star ratings from some of the people that I follow. I mean, am I ever going to read it? I've got no recollection of it. Okay, so it's set in New York from the cover. I've got the Statue of Liberty and the Empire State Building. And it's about, I like music. I'm going to keep it. And we'll see how... Oh, someone at the door. I'll keep this one, see if I can give it a go in the not too distant future. The Other Mother by Michel Bussy. I think this is it translated from French, possibly? Translated from French by Sam Taylor. But I think I've read other translations of his, or hers, don't know, theirs. So I've heard good things about this one and I'm going to keep it. I'm not 100% sure what it's about. I think this one is about a young boy, I think, Malone, who he's 4 years old and he's convinced his mother isn't his real mum. And obviously nobody believes him except the school psychologist. Sounds interesting? I'll keep this one. Oh, next is Tell Me Your Secret by Dorothy Coomson. I've read quite a few of her books and I really enjoy them. They are quick to read, easy reads, good for if you're in a slump. They're always really engaging, really well written, and love her. So I'm definitely going to be keeping this one. What is this? 10 years ago, Pieta survived a weekend with a sadistic serial killer. She never told anyone what happened and instead moved on with her life. But now the man who kidnapped her is hunting down his past victims, meaning she may have to tell her deepest secret to stay alive. So I know this one is going to be really engaging and I am definitely keeping that. What's it called? Homesick for Another World by Atessa Moshfegh. I've read Eileen, I've read McGlue. I'm sure there's another one of hers that I've read. Oh, of course, what's it called? My Year of Rest and Relaxation. Loved all of them. Really enjoy her books. Definitely keeping this one. This is another one I bought when I was in New York. It's called Fierce Little Thing by Miranda Beverly Whitmore. New York Times best-selling author. This is another psychological thriller type book. Another nice floppy paperback, although it looks like it's got some water damage or something, which is weird. Maybe it's just warped in the sun or something, I don't know. Anyway, so this is about a girl called Saskia. I love that name. And it's a murder mystery, a character study and exploration of guilt and responsibility, an account of a utopian community gone awry. So just reading the back, this one has given me slight cult vibes. I'm not sure if that's an accurate description, but I love anything to do with cults, so keeping this one. Next we have A Fraction of the Whole by Steve Toltz. This is an Australian classic, I believe. This is another one of those books that says it's a funny classic page turner. Again, not a big fan of funny books, but I'm going to keep this one because he's Australian. I don't have a lot of Australian fiction on my books, on my shelves, and I like to read from lots of different countries. And this one's meant to be a classic and meant to be really good, so I'm going to keep this one. Oh, a riotously funny first novel. It's written from the perspective of a man in prison, and he is telling the story of his scheming father. We'll give it a go at some point, who knows when. Next up we have The Bread the Devil Need by Lisa Allen Agostini. This was shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction in 2022. God, is it that long ago? I mean, look how short this is. Why have I not read this? I am going to definitely keep this one. Let me see how long it is. It's less than 250 pages, so I think I'm going to put this on my Shorty September TBR and will make a big effort to get this one read then. It's supposed to be really good modern classic. I believe the author is from Trinidad. Definitely want to get to this one soon, and I love the cover. It's gorgeous. Okay, definitely keeping this one and we'll get to it soon. This is Skippy Dies by Paul Murray. I think this is another Australian author actually, or is he Irish? Yeah, he's Irish, yep. This is another modern classic that says noisy, hilarious, tragic, a carnival of a novel. Another funny one, maybe, darkly comic. This is about a group of friends, I think, and I guess one of them dies. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm going to keep this one. I don't hear a lot about it, but every now and then someone brings it up, and I've had it on my shelf for such a long time. I definitely want to read it still. When am I ever going to read all these books? That's ridiculous. Next we have The Bookish Life of Nina Hill by Abby Waxman. This isn't really my type of book, I don't think. It's about a girl who works in a bookshop. I'm going to look at this one on Goodreads. Okay, so it's got a 3.8 rating on Goodreads from over 100,000 reviews. So people obviously enjoy it. It's a book about books. As somebody who loves books, I feel like I'm supposed to like books about books. And I'm not sure that I do. What is drawing this to me is it's set in a bookshop, which is interesting to me because I would love to own a bookshop. It's never going to happen, but okay. And she suddenly finds out that she's got a huge family, which fills her with horror, which I would probably feel the same. Okay, I'm going to keep this one. And then we have The Pearl That Broke Its Shell by Nadia Hashimi. This is another one that I must have bought in America, or maybe not. I might have got it, I don't know. But it's a nice floppy paperback. We love the flop. This one is set in Kabul in 2007. The Taliban rules the streets. I think I heard about this from Louise Savage from Louise Savage Muses, I think is her channel. And she was raving about this book, I think, from what I can remember. Anyway, it sounds really interesting to me. So it's about a young girl who, there's some like little known custom in Afghanistan where young girls are allowed to kind of grow up and be treated as boys until they are married. So that sounds really interesting. Definitely keeping this one. So that is the second pile of books. So we're onto the third and final pile, and we have Careless by Kirsty Capes. There was a lot of buzz about this one a few years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So I think this is about a teenage girl who falls pregnant. I think she is kind of in the social care system in a foster family. So it's like a coming of age story, and I think I'm still interested in reading this. Not 100% sure if it's for me. I'm a bit concerned that it might be kind of verging on the young adult side of things, which I'm not a huge fan of young adults. Being, you know, a middle-aged woman, I don't read a lot of young adults. I don't like all the angsty teenage adolescent stuff anymore. Having said that, there are young adult books that I have really enjoyed, so, you know. Anyway, I don't think this is particularly a young adult book, but it just gives me those vibes for some reason. But I'll keep it for now, and we'll see if I get to it anytime soon. Next up, we have 3 Hours by Rosamund Lupton. I've read another one of her books, which I really very much enjoyed. Something about a sister, I think. Oh God, I can't remember what it was. Let me have a look. Oh, so it was actually called Sister. And I, according to Goodreads, gave that book 5 stars. So I definitely want to keep this one. I think this is about a woman who drops her child off at school, and then they get some kind of notification that something terrible is happening at the school. And it's about like waiting to find out what happens. You know, is her child still alive? Which sounds absolutely terrifying. So I'm keeping that one. Then we have The Little Stranger by Sarah Waters. Sarah Waters, I've read a number of her books. I've read Fingersmith. Oh, I also read The Night Watch by her and Affinity. And I've got Tipping the Velvet on my shelves as well. So, and I've also got The Paying Guests, so I think I've got all of her books. I've really enjoyed the ones that I have read from her. Honestly, once you get into her books, they just fly by. So I don't know why I haven't picked this one up. This one, actually, this is probably why I haven't picked it up. It's set in post-war summer. I'm not really a big fan of books about the war, so I don't know if this one focuses on the war and which war, I don't know. I think it's the Second World War. But that's probably why I haven't picked this one up yet. But her books are so good. Definitely want to read this at some point. Then we have Rosemary's Baby by Ira Levin. This one I've had for ages. I've seen the movie, and I think what I will do, this is another short book. This is around 230 pages. I'm going to put this on my Shorty September TBR. If I don't read it in September, I'm going to say goodbye to it because I've had it for so long and I just don't reach for it. But it's meant to be really creepy. I mean, the film is really creepy, and I usually will enjoy a book more than the film. So I would think that I'll like this book a lot, but we'll see. Then we have Slade House by David Mitchell with a horrible sticker on it. This is, oh, I can get this one off. Oh. David Mitchell is one of those authors who I feel like I should read. I did try to read Cloud Atlas years ago, but it just kind of did my head in. I couldn't get into it. But I would like to give him another go, and this is one of his shorter ones, and it's about a creepy house. And I love a book about a creepy house, so I'm going to keep this one, and maybe I will get to it this autumn. Then we have The Last by Hannah Jameson. I think this one is an end of the world book. A group of people go to a hotel, I think, for some kind of work conference, and while they're there, the world outside ends and they are left in this hotel to fend for themselves. I like a dystopian or like apocalyptic book, so I'm going to keep this one, and hopefully I'll get to it soon. I've heard mixed reviews about it. I think some people love it, some people hate it, but we'll see. This one's a bit dusty. This is The Crimson Petal and the White by Michael Faber. This is a classic. It is ginormous, like super ginormous. Look at it. It's like super tiny writing, really narrow margins. I don't know, nearly, how many pages? 800 odd pages. I've heard such good things about this book. And it follows the story of a teenage girl, 19-year-old prostitute in the brothel of the peculiar Mrs. Castaway, yearns for a better life. I've heard such good things about this book, but I'm thinking, do I need the physical copy or can I read it on my Kindle? I think I do want the physical copy. I'm going to keep this one. This is a book that I think about so often, and I just need to get around to reading it. Like, what is your problem? Just pick it up and read it. Next up we have The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. This is another, oh God, I'm so bad. This is another one that I started reading, got to page 32 and stopped. And I don't know why. I'm such a mood reader. I can't even remember why I stopped this one. Oh, it's probably... Did I find this one a bit harrowing, like The Reformatory? I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just a coward. Like, I need to read these books. This is about some... I think it's about like a group of black boys in a prison or a juvenile detention centre. And I think I just found it a bit much. Is it similar to The Reformatory actually, with like where they're haunted by the ghosts of boys who've died there previously? I think it's something like that. Clearly I just can't handle those type of books, but I really want to read this one. This one's not too long. The Reformatory is much longer. But I really do want to read this, so I'm going to keep this one on my shelf. Next we have Dominicana by Angie Cruz. This is another one that was on the Women's Prize for Fiction not too long ago, a few years ago. I've heard really good things about this one. This is about a young girl growing up in an oppressive country and how she deals with that. And I think at some point she travels to New York. I don't know why I haven't picked this one up sooner. Gonna keep this one, and I will get to it eventually. Next we have one that I've had for absolutely yonks. This is The Narrow Road to the Deep North by Richard Flanagan. This, I believe, I actually think this might be a TV series at the moment. But I think this is about a Japanese prisoner of war. Is that true? In the despair of a Japanese prisoner of war camp on the Burma Death Railway. And it's about a doctor and his love affair with his uncle's young wife 2 years earlier. I've heard this one is really good, really heart-wrenching. And I think it was on the Booker Prize shortlist years and years ago. So this was published in 2013. So I've probably had this book since it was first published 12 years ago. Get to it, woman. Then we have The Lowland by Jhumpa Lahiri. I have read her short story novel, The Emperor of Maladies, short story novel. Her short story collection, The Emperor of All Maladies, I think it's called. Is that what it's called? Oh my God, my brain, honestly. The Interpreter of Maladies. Which I loved, actually. I really enjoyed her short stories. And then I picked this one up after I'd read that, I think. A gorgeous, effortless prose that manages to be both sparse and rich. I think it's about a boy and his brother. They're growing up. I think at some point they go to America. They start off in India and they move to America, I think. So I'm going to keep this one on my shelf. And then the last one on my red shelf of books is Booth by Karen Joy Fowler. Now, I read We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves by her, which I liked and hated in equal measure. So this is about the Booth family, who I think was some big family in America. Now, I'm going to show my ignorance because I don't know if this is actually based on a true family. It's definitely a novel, but I don't know if it's like a reimagining of this family's life or if it's completely fictional. But I've heard good things about it. It was nominated for one of the prizes, possibly the Women's Prize for Fiction, some years ago. Does it say? No, it doesn't. It's a bit of a chunkster. It's a massive hardback. but I think I'm going to keep it. Am I going to keep it? I think I'm going to keep it. Okay, I've just read the inside synopsis. One of the brothers attempts or is successful in assassinating Abraham Lincoln. So it is kind of, I believe, a fictional interpretation of that family. Oh God, I'm so stupid. So yes, I think I'm going to keep this one. So that is the end of my red shelf. So I'm only going to unhaul one book, which is Middlesex by Geoffrey Eugenides, which I'm not really even going to should I even get rid of it? No, I am going to unhaul this one. I can always get it on my Kindle if I want to read it. And yeah, it's basically the binding that's putting me off of this. So I'm going to get rid of this one. So those are all the books on my red TBR shelf. So I'm left with 37 books, I believe. So if you have read any of these books and you think I need to bump them up my TBR, make them a priority, please let me know in the comments below. If there are any in here that you think don't even bother, please also let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts on any of these books. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for the next installment, which will be my orange book. Well, which will be my orange moving into yellow books. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon.